came out today that the FA Cup are scrapping their replays from the first round. What are your thoughts on this? I will leave it free for anyone or everyone to have their say on it.
150 years of the FA Cup, and now because the top people, as in big twats at the top of football, think that lower league clubs don't matter, I think it's atrocious. And I think it's absolutely wonderful that Tranmere were the first team to come out and say this is diabolical. And there's other teams that are doing it now. And I know in our group chat, there's been a message saying Accrington have done it and Walsall. Yeah. So I think more and more teams will come out and say it. But as a fan, like, some of my best FA Cup memories are replays. You've got, Bolton. That Bolton game as an example, we held him to a 2-2 draw. We were 3-2 down with 30 seconds left and scored a last-minute equaliser, beat him in extra time. You've got teams that are so low down in the pyramid that replay can help to keep them afloat.
Remember when Ben came on and spoke about obviously Maidstone?
I was gonna say that.
The money that they actually got, they were putting towards a new boiler.
Yeah, new boiler and painting the social club and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Why? Just because people like Jurgen Klopp, whose players don't even play as many games, are whinging about a bit of football. I'm sorry, Aaron, if this seems harsh, but it's not harsh against people like you. But I don't mean it against Aaron because he is a footballer. That's what I mean. It's a privilege to be a footballer. There's so many kids that would love to be a footballer. Yeah. And you're whinging about 90 minutes of football. I just think it's a disgrace.
No, I make you right. I can't understand how they've made that decision. They've made that decision just between the and the Premier League as well, which blows my mind because I look at the whole pyramid. Whether you go in the EFL or whether you're going even lower down, how you can make that decision and just put it out and everyone has to accept it is totally ridiculous. I don't see how it was done in the first place, and I don't see that what they've done can be final. I can't see it. I think every club outside of the Premier League needs to get together. I saw Darren McAntney came out and put something and said that all the EFL clubs need to bond together and because it's not right. So, like you say, I envisage that this is going to drag on throughout the summer. I don't think that this is going to be the last we hear of it because all of a sudden it just seems like they're just trying to say, all right, well, look, we'll give you a little bit more money, but we're scrapping the games. I don't think that's acceptable. I think that's not the way to conduct it.
No, and I think as well, I mean, you always talk about the magic of the FA Cup, don't you? And obviously, we've seen Maidstone this season do so well. And they had a couple of replays, didn't they, Maidstone, to get as far as what they could and all that. But, when you see this, we've seen so many times over the years where the managers come on and they say, well, the draw, getting them back to our place or whatever, that pays for our club for 2 years and all that. Now, you're not going to get that anymore. And the problem is, for me, it's literally just going to make it that one of the top 4 wins it every year because they play less games. And it just gives them an opportunity to put the reserves or whatever out. And the be-all and end-all is that the FA Cup hasn't been taken seriously by the top teams for a good tenure. So, and why, and Aaron's, I think he's hit the nail on the head there, why just the Premier League have decided it. And it's becoming quite scary now that the Premier League's now becoming a closed shop. That when they announced a couple of weeks ago the change in the FFP rules to 85%, so the rich clubs are going to get richer. They couldn't work out any financial package for the EFL. They never even mentioned it in their meeting. Now that they bring this, it's an absolute shambolic decision. And as I said, it's just going to eradicate any magic the FA Cup still got left. We're not going to see these little clubs get as far, you know what I mean? Because, even in the first round when, as we've mentioned before, a team like Crewe or something when they had Charlton or something, see if Crewe go away to a team now and get a draw, it's going to be decided on penalties. It's such an unfair way for me.
It is.
Get them on telly and give them the money.
The people that are making these decisions have absolutely no concept of lower league or non-league football. And
I don't think they care. Yeah.
And that's the worrying thing, is that they're the people that we're allowing to just dictate what happens to the cup. If this is allowed to go on, that's it. Like, replays are never ever coming back, and a part of the FA Cup dies with that.
It's 150 years. It's such an old tournament. For it to just be thrown away at the say of a few teams, like.
Which actually, it surprises me, because in the Premier League, there's clubs in there that have been down there.
Yeah.
You've got your Lutons, you've got your Brentfords, you've got your Brightons. They've been down in the lower leagues. You'd have thought that, well, dependent on, I guess, who their ownership is now, but you'd have thought that they would have looked at that and said, you know what, the same way we was down there. Yeah. Other clubs who are down there at the moment, they need it. They need those moments. And when you go even further down into non-league, they're priceless. They're memories that are like once in a lifetime opportunities. Literally once in a lifetime opportunities. You take that away, and like I say, I think you kill a huge part of what the FA Cup's about.
100%.
Yeah,
it just turns it into,
it's incredibly scary.
Yeah. It just turns it into just another competition now, doesn't it? And it's just going to end up like the League Cup, where nobody gives a toss.
Because they're playing all those bloody under 21.
What gets me, though, to be fair, though, there's a lot of people who've said, like, kick the Premier League clubs out of that cup. But in one respect, them competitions, like, what's it called now? The Bristol
Street Masters.
Yeah, we're not in it anymore, so it obviously doesn't apply for us. But when we were in it, as much as obviously them games were frustrating because it was more, we were obviously, that was our only chance of really winning a cup, even though we didn't win it. But people are saying kick these Premier League teams out of it, but they're teams that you can kind of have a glimpse of their academies and under 21s, and they're the kind of players someone like Rochdale would get on loan. So I think that's quite good, having them in there, because like we've not got the funds to like splash out on this player or that player, so we'd rely on them competitions to kind of then get a player from their academies on loan and stuff. So
I think it works both ways.
It
works both ways, because for some of those players, you get the chance to go and test yourself against men's teams, against first team league clubs. So they're getting valuable experience playing at that level. The same way, clubs are being able to showcase their players, and like you say, clubs will be able to see those players. Like Mothersill, when he was at Chelsea, that's where Peterborough saw him play when he was playing for Chelsea. So yes, it works both ways. But you don't want the FA Cup to turn into that. That's not what the FA Cup's about.
What also gets me about these Premier League teams as well, a lot of them doing the moaning are the ones who are now, there's this new Champions League thing where all this money is being put into the Champions League. They want to like introduce new teams going into the Champions League. And this is what frustrates me as well, because there's going to be more games with this new Champions League scheme as well. All the money's going into that, and then these want to get rid of the FA Cup replays, and it's like, really?
Yeah. It's the problem we got is that there are more games. So for the teams that are in Europe, there are going to be more games next season. I can understand the frustration of those your Manchester Cities, your Liverpools, the teams that are going to be playing in all those competitions. There are too many games. For some of those players, there are too many games. So you either have to be able to make the squads bigger, or like there has to be a balance, because as a player and looking just as an individual player at those clubs, you can't possibly play that amount of games. It's ridiculous and it's unsafe. So I understand it on that perspective, but the biggest problem here is the dialogue. the fact that everyone wasn't at the table to be able to talk about it, voice their opinions, and come to, create an answer together. You don't just two parties go away. You make a decision, and then you just dictate to the rest.
Yeah.
Well, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
I'd actually be really interested to know how many replays those teams have been in this season. It can't be many.
Yeah,
You can't name many, can you?
Well, it wasn't it. No replays up until the 5th round this season.
Yeah.
That's been like that for a couple of years.
It's
Which
down
I
to
don't
the first
think-
round now, isn't it?
I don't think that was an issue. I think that
No,
was.
I
Yeah,
think that was
I
fine.
actually
But-
agreed with that.
Yeah, I
agreed
agreed with it.
But
The thing that I
it's
found
scrapping
really
it from
weird
round
about
one.
it, the thing that I found really weird about it, and the thing that annoyed me so much about it, there's so much, you could go into an entire separate podcast to talk about this. There was something along the lines of 732 teams that competed in the FA Cup this season, from all the way down to the bottom ends of qualification up until this final.
Great
One,
knowledge.
like we've said, 20 teams have had the decision on every single club about this decision. Two, I understand very much the whole concept of the European competitions are changing. So for the top, what will it be? Top 8 teams in the Premier League, the way that Europe works now, I do understand the frustration because they'll have more games and everything. However, we've talked about how it almost feels like the Premier League's being closed off from the EFL. You talk the teams that have been up, that went up last season from the Championship to now. Other than Luton, Burnley and Sheffield United have not been able to compete, and they've went straight down. So I understand. We talk the magic of the FA Cup because the upsets can happen. There's been so many situations where Premier League teams have been knocked out by League One, League Two teams. I've had the luxury of supporting Newport, where we've beaten Leicester the season they were contending for Europe, and we took Man City to like a 3-1 game. We've drawn with Tottenham and everything, and had a replay at their ground. Yeah, you surely think that a Premier League manager should be able to beat a League One, League Two team 99% of the time. And even when they get the replays, this is where the academies that are incredibly well developed and everything, that's where they should be able to step up. It's not like the academies have been neglected and they don't play games. They play in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. So I feel the replays were a phenomenal opportunity, not only for the clubs all the way down, down League One, League Two, National League and lower, for them to get money that really helps the club out and really helps them run for longer periods of time. But it also gives Premier League academies, or it should give them opportunity to showcase their talent in these replays or in these first and second rounds. It's, to me, you've like we've said, you've killed a very vital part of the FA Cup, where it's a competition unlike any other. You're not going to see, other than in this competition, you're not going to see Maidstone play Coventry. That is not a fixture that's going to happen very often. So the fact that you could have a National League South club or whatever it is go all the way away from home, pick up a 1-1 result, and then they don't get the reward of being able to get all the gate receipts and all the ticket sales and everything, and all the exposure at their home ground where it benefits them. It's insane to me, because that's the majority of teams. The majority of teams that have played in this competition really, this competition means everything to them. It means a lot. It can not only make or break a season, but in circumstances you talk when you get to the 3rd, 4th round, like when we played United and made something along the lines of £500,000 for the club, which is absolutely massive. It funds like 2 free transfer windows for us. The fact that you're taking that away from clubs, not only is it an unfair advantage to, the fact that they may not have the funds to break into the next division and take the next step up, but for certain clubs, it could cause them to go out of business, and we could lose a lot more football clubs because they've relied on this competition, and it really benefits them. And they may not get many gate receipts at the normal league games. For me, it has been for the majority, especially with the clubs now putting out statements regarding it. If you would understand, you'd have at least the EFL on board with it, and they'd agree. Don't get us wrong, we'd probably still not be very happy about it, but at least you'd partly understand the fact that the 20 teams, because they've now taken part in this European competition that has more games and whatever, because they've now decided that they don't want to play this extra, maybe 1 or 2 games a season, where they should be able to utilize their youth academy or the incredible amounts of money they've got to bring in players for these exact reasons. It's just unfair, and it's not right.
Preach, Kieran.
Preach. Thank you. Thank you.
No, I completely agree. It is unfair, but I think, like we were saying, the most unfair thing is that the Premier League and the FA Cup, like, they've decided it, and not even. Yeah, because our chairman actually put out before, because there was a lot of Rochdale fans like on his back, like, why are we not putting out a statement? And he actually said, I want to get the facts first to see if there would definitely no one there representing the National League before we put something out. Because then they'd all have a go at him for putting a statement out and thingy. So yeah.
Well, the fact that there's chairman come out, like I say,
Yeah.
I read Darren McCantley, and Darren McCantley is one of the most vocal chairmen there is around.
Yes.
So the fact that he's come out and said, well, how comes no one from it? What does EFL clubs not get a mention now? Do we not get a say? If he didn't get a call, no one got a call.
Yeah,
because he would have made sure that he got a call.
Yeah.
So, I, from what I understand, and bearing in mind I don't know all the facts, but I think that more money is being pumped into the FA Cup. But it's almost like they've just bought it. It's almost like they've just said, all right, do you know what? We'll give you a little bit more money, and we can pick and choose how we run it, which is not the right way to do it. It's not the right way to do it. So, like I say, I don't think that this is going to be the end of it. I think that this is going to drag on, but hopefully, justice is served at the end, and we can at least go back to what we've just had. Where you get to a certain point, you have the replays up until then. So you get your Horsham against Charlton or Cray or whoever it is. You get those clubs get to have their moment and get to have their televised games and things like that, because
it's season defining, isn't it? But people remember seasons based off of their FA Cup ties, and the reality is, and the way they've almost portrayed this, is that it's the beautiful game so long as it benefits the Premier League.
Yeah. The best thing about the FA Cup are those early rounds when there's the non-league clubs up against or lower league clubs up against the giants.
Yeah. I remember
that's
as
what
well.
Makes the FA Cup.
Yeah. I remember being in the Conference North, and we were so fucking excited that we'd got to the first round, and we were literally playing Woking. Like, it wasn't even a huge tie, but the fact that we were buzzing to get to the first round, and we were like, yeah, we've got a chance.
Yeah.
Like, that's just...
And don't get me wrong, you'll still get them ties. Like, you'll still get them ties, but the team that's at the disadvantage has the opportunity to literally just get a draw and then bring them to their own place, which is the leveler. That's you're giving that away. Like, you can't just give that away without a fight. I don't think
agree.
Everyone can just accept that and say, do you know what? No. If that's what you guys want to do, you minority, even though you're the most powerful ones, which is the FA and the Premier League. Yes, you are the most powerful footballing bodies because financially and the FA, etc. But to not include everyone in the conversation, and we've got power in numbers. When you look at the EFL and you look at the National League, there's the powers in the numbers, not in the finances. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, the worrying part of it is that if they can just if the Premier League can just decide to get rid of replays for absolutely no reason, what else can they do
What else?
to
Yeah.
further benefit themselves? Like,
Yeah.
it's incredibly worrying.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Claire, I say we set you on them. They'll back down there.
Yeah, we
I'll
take
go
on.
to a
Don't do
meeting.
that. We'll all get kicked out.
I'll go
We'll all
to a
get kicked
meeting.
out.
Don't you worry. Hey, I can be constructive.
Constructive Claire.
Constructive Claire.
Destructive, Claire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you get? What did you just say?
I said destructive, Claire.
Destructive.
Depends what mood I'm in.